Hello and welcome to A-Level Geography at the Boswell School. I am Mrs Wells and I'm the Head of Geography, and I'm just going to talk you through a little bit of information about the course we offer and what you might expect to find from studying some A-Level Geography. So to start with then, A-Level Geography is really varied. We cover such a variety of different topics. We do both physical geography, so we look at hazards, we look at sand dunes and coasts, and we look at our natural environment like rainforests. But we also cover quite a large section of human geography. I've put a couple of examples here. So things like looking at the world population and things like looking at trade and development around the globe. The paper we choose to study is AQA Exam Board. That has 2 written exam papers and 1 piece of geography investigation or fieldwork. The first 2 papers are split into physical and human geography. They're both 2.5 hours long and they're both worth 120 marks or 40% of the A-level. Paper 3, the Independent Fieldwork Investigation, is a written project that students complete independently. They come up with their own titles and they collect their own data and evidence for that, and that's worth 20% of the A-level. I've put on here the topics that we cover in each paper. The papers themselves have a choice of topics and I've put that on this one here in a bit more detail. So the physical paper at the top here, we study water and carbon, coasts and hazards. And how they're assessed is set out here. We have 4 mark, 6 mark, 9 mark and 20 mark questions. And there's a slightly different format for each different topic in each paper. In the human geography, it's a very similar set out in terms of how it's marked, 4, 6, 9 and 20 again. And on this one we do the Global Governance Unit, the Changing Places Unit and a unit on population. At the moment, how we split up the teaching is as follows. In Year 12 we do these 4 units and we start planning and collecting our data for our fieldwork investigation, which is sometimes called an NEA. It then leaves us with 2 units to teach in Year 13. Within the hazards unit we cover volcanoes and earthquakes, but we also cover tropical storms, and we finish by looking at wildfires, which might be something a little bit new to most of you. The water and carbon unit is looking at how the water and carbon cycles link together. We look at a river case study and we look at a rainforest case study as part of that. Coast is quite similar to what you've probably been studying at GCSE, but more in depth. And then the Changing Places unit is our human topic within Year 12. It sounds a bit silly to say it looks at how places have changed, but that is what it's about. It's looking at how globalisation has helped change places, at how groups of people have helped change places. We look at things like migration within that and how that helps form what a place is like. Within that, we do 2 case studies. We look at Chelmsford and our understanding of how Chelmsford has changed, and we also look at Brick Lane and Spitalfields in East London. And as things should be running normally for you next year, we run a trip to Spitalfields, and as part of our NEA planning, we run another trip, a residential to Dorset for 2 nights. In Year 13, we're left with 2 more human topics, one on population. That looks at a range of things to do with population in terms of how we're going to feed the world's growing population, but also different family planning strategies and different ways that governments and countries have helped manage their population growth. The last one down here, global governance, is all to do with trade, aid, globalisation and how countries interact together. Now, in terms of how you're going to be assessed, there's kind of 3 areas you're going to need to be focusing on at A-level. AO1 marks are all for your knowledge and your understanding. AO2 is how you can interpret and how you can analyse. And AO3 is to do with your fieldwork skills, how you can analyse and interpret data. These 3 assessment objectives occur throughout both of the human and the physical paper, and there are also marks for them in your independent fieldwork project. Now, I've got a few slides here of different things that you might want to think about looking at in preparation for A-level geography. These are all things that will help your knowledge at GCSE too. I'm not going to read through these, but you will be able to go through and pause on the video if there's any of these that you would like to go and investigate further. I've got a reading list here. I've got some different websites. There's a few maybe TED Talks that you might want to go and have a look at on the internet. There's lots and lots of free geographical programs on iPlayer and on some of our other kind of on-demand services too. All of these programs are going to tie into your geography knowledge and help make you a better geographer. You can have a look at these in your own time, and as I said, they'll help your knowledge at GCSE too. If anyone's interested in looking at geographical information systems and how we map data, there's a few things here that might be useful to have a little look at. We get involved in using a lot more crowdsourced and big scale data at A-level. And lastly, there's a few geography films there for you. Some of them are free, some of them you may be able to get a hold of. If you've got any further questions, then please feel free to get in touch with me. I'm Mrs. Wells, and this is my email address. I hope that you might consider taking geography at A-level. I think it's a really interesting course, and if you've got any further questions, then please get in touch.